Good morning, good morning, good morning, good people, fellow humans. And we spell that Huemonds. Colorful nuts. Here we are. Today is Thursday, February 12th, 2026. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning in southwestern Nevada, where we are about 60 miles west of Sin City, 60 miles east of Death Valley, 70 miles south of Area 51, and about 10 miles, maybe 12 miles north of the brothels. Interesting territory, hardscrabble territory, occupied by sharp-elbowed, pistol-packing, rootin' people. And we are lucky to be here because this is where it is happening. If you choose that. Yes. Okay. So here we are. And our goal is to help our students and interested people on their journey through this life. Started with the belief that we do have a transcendent soul. So if you believe we have a transcendent soul, good. If you believe we do not have a transcendent soul, okay. What if you're wrong? What if you think we don't and we do? What if you think you don't and you actually do? Could be bad. On the other hand, if you think you have a transcendent soul and you don't, no harm, no foul. So that's a version of Pascal's wager. You have nothing to lose by becoming a believer. You have a lot to lose by refusing to believe if believing was the proper thing. So we're here to help our students and other interested people on their journey through this life, where our goal is to set you on transform, and trajectory, heading to the light, heading to the real light. The light, well, let's say spirit, heading to the spirit, to be Father, as he said. Okay. That's our purpose. And so if you are already saved, good for you. If you're not already saved, this is the place for you. If you're already successful, good for you. If you're not successful, we hope to help you get some lessons, to get some tools, to get some direction, some structure, framing to get there. But you have to do the work. It's a great start to watch this, but watching it isn't the same as actually doing stuff. And you can take a very small step along the way. The first step would be to go down below and like, subscribe, share, click on the bell, you know the thing. Do those things as a start. And then maybe next week you can actually look at the worksheet that is attached below. Maybe one day you can go on Amazon and get the book. Right now we are on, this is day 4 of week 3 in our neuroscience-oriented approach to success, as opposed to a psychological oriented approach to success, or a religious, or a spiritual, or an astrological, or a meteorological, or whatever approach to success. This is a neurological approach to success, meaning what is going on in your brain, what's going on in my brain. So we've got the worksheet, we've got the book, and we have the podcast. our daily podcast, but they are of no good if you don't do something with them. And another key thing to remember is that if you learn something but you don't remember, it's pretty much the same as not learning it. So you should write it down or review it, spaced repetition. All right, now let's move on. So start with advice from an 80-year-old. And the older I get, the more I appreciate when somebody who's older than me talks about a time in their life before I was born, or before I was a teenager, say, because that reminds me of what life was like when I was that age and how different it is now, how radically different life was in the 70s than it is now. Pre-cable TV, pre-computers, pre-internet, pre-cell phones, basically simple relative to now, very simple life where you did your thing, you got up, you did your thing, you came home, you spent time with the family, you looked forward to guests, to friends coming over, just stopping by. All of the things we don't like or do today were welcome back then. Reading a book, for example, quite common. Listening to the radio, hoping your favorite song came on, but those days are gone. It would be great if there was a resort where you could go away for a week and experience life in the 70s. And it was a recreation of that. No cell phones allowed. But that doesn't exist to the best of my knowledge right now. And so we move on. Okay, so that was the advice from an 80-year-old. Oh, the advice from an 80-year-old. Choose your life's mate carefully. From this one decision will come 90% of your happiness or misery. And to top that off, down below, Jordan Peterson gives a great definition of what the purpose of marriage was. And he starts by saying, here, we're very immature about it. We think it's about happiness and love and things like that. It's not. It's about finding a mate who will help you psychologically and spiritually develop and to create an environment that's great for raising kids. That's the purpose of marriage. So you need to have a serious conversation about it. Okay, Maticus von Atticus has arrived. Good. So that's like, what, 2 or 3 days in a row, once again. You had a good streak going last week, but now you're back. So that is good. And we move forward. So let us go now to Seth Godin. Advice from Seth Godin. Tip for tap. Never heard that expression before. Tip for tap. I always heard tit for tat. Tit for tat. There is plenty of unintentional harm in our world. We've all been bruised or derailed by someone who had no ill intent. Yeah. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to embarrass you, insult you, cut in front of you. I didn't mean to do that. We've all been bruised or derailed by someone who had no ill intent. I thought I was helping you. We often respond with intentional harm to make a point and to teach a lesson. Oops, sorry, I did that. Well, you got to pay. You got to pay. I've got to get even with you because I don't want you to do it again. The alternative is clarity, shared understanding instead of intentional pain. Okay, so I know that you thought you were helping me. I know you wanted to help me, but what you actually did is hurt me, and here's the reason why. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I know you didn't know that. Tap is to keep coming. Tap is going to keep coming. I guess that's the unintentional harm. Tap is going to keep coming. It's the tip that's up to us. And I guess the tip is the shared understanding, the non-intentional harm in response. Okay, good. Thank you, Seth Godin. Thank you, Seth Godin. All right. So, Maticus Phonaticus, how are things on the South 5 at Homestead? At the Homestead. All right. Now, today is day 4 in week 3. Week 3 is about getting other people to help us to join our proverbial team or the crew of our metaphorical ship for the adventure of our life, the ship we have built to take us on our journey. So we're learning how to get people to be the crew of our ship to help us on our journey through life and our goal to become successful. Cool. Week 2 was understanding how my brain works. So the transition from 2 to 3 is I want you to help me, but I don't want to push you away. I want you to join. So if I know how my brain works and I know that your brain works the same as my brain, what I need to do is use that to help us bond. That's it. That's the simple thing. Your brain works the same as my brain works. I don't know, I can't read your mind, but knowing how my brain works and observing you, I can infer what's going on. And my goal is for us to see the world the same way. Because if we do, we can bond and we can move forward together. So when I say, let's go, you say, yeah, not, huh? What? Why? Why there? So bonding is the key, and understanding how my brain works, knowing your brain works the same as mine, we can move forward. Week number 1 was the whole overview and orientation. Let's put it this way. Week 1, overview, well, that would be up here, but the foundation is to answer 2 questions. Who am I? Why do I behave the way I do? So now from a neuroscience, next week, I look at how does my brain work? What's going on? How can I motivate myself? How can I self-motivate? And then week 3, okay, now I have to use what I learned about me to apply it to you. And we will move forward. But I need to do it the right way. Because if I don't do it the right way, we're not going to bond, we're going to repel. Monday, David Logan told us, okay, great, here's the starting point. Join a tribe, join a group of people that's like you, and nudge it forward. You want to lead, join a tribe, nudge it forward. Put in the extra work, be somebody that has some ideas, somebody people can trust, and nudge it forward. When I moved to Las Vegas, I joined the Italian American Club. And I said, how can I help? How can I help? What can I do to help? And they said, you can be in the membership committee. Okay, great. And then came up with ideas. Okay. Tuesday, we learned how to nudge. Okay, joining a tribe is easy. How to nudge. And Seth Godin gave us a 4-step formula. Find part of the status quo to change, tell a compelling story, connect the true believers and ignore the non-true believers, and then lead them. Okay, cool. Yesterday, we learned how to tell a compelling story. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The story is about why we need to change the status quo. Now, this morning I'm watching a video on the 3 secrets to a good story. And a lot of it has to do with the use of the words and, but, and so. More on that later. Today's video, David J.P. Phillips is about the magical science of storytelling. And I think that's a great term. In fact, that is the theme of today, the magical science, because it brings the two things together. Is it magic or is it science? And he says there's a magical science to storytelling. So the science is if you do this and this and this and this, this and this and this and this will happen. But if you don't do those things in the right sequence, it won't happen. So you got to learn the process. And the first step for David Phillips is to get everybody can be a great storyteller. Telling a story is a science. The magic is what happens when you do it right. Because when you do it right, what happens is a thought starts in your head. You see it in your head. The thought occurs in your head. It kind of releases some chemicals into our brain, our body, hormones. We then have the ability to turn that thought into sound waves that float through the air and go into somebody's ears. And those sound waves get converted into electrical impulses that go through our reticular activating system into our brain, where they make the person who heard them feel a certain way. Hopefully the way you wanted them to feel. So that's the science part also is, or the science part is, what is it figuring out? What do I want that person to feel? And if they feel that way, then I can go to the actual story. So a lot of people start a presentation, a speech, whatever, by telling a joke or telling a story. Simon Sinek that's his shtick. He'll tell a story, oftentimes a military story about pride and heroism, and we're in this together and we're committed. He'll do that first to pull out, to release chemicals in our brains that make us feel like we want to be courageous and we want to be heroic and we want to do the right thing. We're willing to sacrifice to do the right thing. That's the magic, is you can think about it in your brain, and by creating little sound waves, get the other guy to think the same thing. That is the magical science, and it's really incredible if you think about it. The ability we have to influence or to affect other people. Now, Amy Cuddy will tell us, yeah, but verbal is only about 30%. 70% is nonverbal. So your body language has to also match the story. You can't tell. So we've all experienced people telling a bad joke, right? The words were okay. The rest of it, the intonation, the body language, was not good. Okay, so today, David Phillips breaks down how to tell a story. So we're all good storytellers. Write down your stories. Think about the neurotransmitters you want to release in the people, and then into a situation, go through this catalog. Okay, story, story, this neurotransmitter, this story, this one, this one, this one, this one. Story, tell the story first, bond, and then move on to the compelling story. And that is it for today. And we will say, hasta la vista, baby. Bonk.